I didn't know the topic, so I prepared on sudden cardiac arrest, not on AFib. But it's a good way to lead into the segment about all the other talks. It's interesting. Some of the other speakers, I didn't realize you'll hear a speaker about a particular app on sudden cardiac death. So I think it ties into it, and I think you'll find it useful and informative for where the future is going. So just a little bit of facts about sudden cardiac arrest. Some of you are not in the medical field. Anybody without a palpable pulse when they're unconscious qualifies as a sudden cardiac arrest. Essentially what's happening here is the heart does not pump enough blood to any of the vital organs because there's no real palpable pulse. And the importance of this is of all the diseases that we have in terms of morbidity and mortality, this has the highest mortality rate, and it has absolutely no warning. If you take cancer, for example, if you take even stroke to some degree, if you take a heart attack and so on, all of these have some warning either before or during or even after to some degree. But sudden cardiac arrest occurs abruptly, and majority of these people don't even have any warning. They're just sitting there and suddenly have a cardiac arrest. And the rate of death, or the risk of death, increases by 7% every minute. And after 3 minutes, the risk of death actually increases by 10%. So essentially by 10 minutes, the chance of survival is extremely low in this case. So of all the diseases that we have, early identification, prevention is obviously the best, but early identification and treatment is by far the most important in this case. And you know examples of CPR that the American Heart Association pushes across, AEDs that they advertise everywhere, especially in public settings. That you see. So again, as I said, majority of them have no warning, and some of the issues that we deal with is early recognition. So how do we recognize somebody having a cardiac arrest? And I'll give you some statistics about that. How do we mobilize the resources immediately? Time is of the essence. So within 2-3 minutes, you have to be at that person's site to resuscitate that person. And obviously, clearly, early treatment, not just at the site, out of hospital, but in hospital as well to improve survival. So each year, about 350,000 people have out-of-hospital cardiac arrest. And 60% of these cardiac arrests are treated by EMS. And approximately 40% are witnessed by a bystander. So that's the reason why we push people to learn how to do CPR as a bystander. And 10% of these are provided by the EMS itself. And 50% of these cases are unwitnessed. So you're on your own if you have cardiac arrest. Obviously, chance of survival is almost nil unless somebody's arrhythmia spontaneously terminates and they have circulation. 70% of these occur at home. Again, there's no warning. People are either themselves or during sleep or no surrounding family member to help. And the survival is dismal. 10% of adults after age 18 have survival to hospital discharge. Children, 13 to 18 years old, 24%. So 3 out of 4 children actually die from sudden cardiac arrest once they come to the hospital. 17% of children aged 1 to 12. So it's a pretty dismal outcome when you have cardiac arrest. So I just wanted to paint a future picture. Don't be surprised that in 10 years from now we'll have drones flying around Indianapolis and rural Indiana. So these are all that are actually available currently. You can see these drone models. So in this particular one, it's actually built in. In the second one, you can see here, it's actually hanging by, it's actually flying and attached to it. And then you can actually see these saying that AED is inside. And you can imagine now EMS systems are going to start, and recently one EMS system in the country is partnering. You're going to start seeing these partnerships where you have these facilities with drones or even the EMS owning drones and dispatching these drones immediately once they get a call. So this is very easy, bystander CPR. So the drone, there's a nice video because of time I didn't play it. But these drones have built-in cameras as well. So the drone actually flies, lands right about in the vicinity of where the phone call came from, because these are all GPS tracked, and you could actually immediately dispatch it. And a bystander can actually listen to the person talking on the drone, essentially with the camera, saying, "Hey, this person is having cardiac arrest," and they actually walk him through it on how to do CPR. And you can imagine the estimated time of dispatching once somebody has cardiac arrest and somebody actually getting to the drone and using it is about 2.5 to 3 minutes. So we've gone from actually unwitnessed cardiac arrest of 50% to actually, if it is witnessed. So I'll tie in a little bit of technology. So now we have that aspect of it. Once we know somebody's having cardiac arrest, we can actually deliver AEDs now, not just in the airports and so on, but we can actually deliver it to somebody's house. What about wearable devices? So some of you have seen recently the Tim Cook show, the Apple Watch, the new generation Apple Watch is actually going to have a built-in ECG in it. So you can actually get a live ECG recording if you press a button. There's another company that already makes it called AliveCor. Some of you may be familiar. It's $100. It's a great app. If some of you have arrhythmias, it's worth having it. If you put your 2 fingers, you get a live ECG. Not only do you get a live ECG, it actually interprets it for you, saying you have atrial fibrillation or you don't have atrial fibrillation. It's about 90+% accuracy. As time goes on, these are going to become more and more accurate. So now imagine in the background, your Apple Watch is continuously looking at your pulse and actually determining if you're alive or not. It's just a matter of time. And now you can see these are ubiquitous now. Pretty soon we're going to have undergarments for athletes that are going to continuously record not only their pulse, heart rate, the military actually already uses it. We're actually looking at sympathetic nerve discharges, so the amount of sweat that's produced, for example, as an indication of sympathetic nerve discharges. So you can imagine all this is going to be integrated into your daily life, and it's not uncommon that these are all actually available right now, that we may not get smarter, but everything surrounding us is going to get smarter eventually. And you can see where this is going because of industry or where we're going. You have several apps here. One's from GE, one's from Google, Amazon, and Apple, where the investment is going into. So industry is going to be a big part of this. Consumer-driven care is going to be big. So just to give you this scenario, 10 years from now, so I'm going to get to that age where I'm at risk for sudden cardiac arrest. So I might subscribe to Apple Health or one of these services and say, hey, you know what, I have potential risk for it. I'm going to pay $100 a month. That's what you charge for the services. And they partner with local communities and maybe EMS. And maybe Apple pays $25 to the community saying, hey, be part of this with us as a healthcare initiative to keep, or maybe your community may tax you for it as part of healthcare. So I'm sitting and watching TV, watching a game, having a beer, and suddenly I slump over, I have cardiac arrest. Hopefully not in 10 years, but so suddenly my Apple Watch starts pinging, vibrating, telling me, sending me messages saying, is this real, is this artifact? Just like some of the AEDs now are actually wearable defibrillators do. And if it doesn't see a response, it talks to Alexa. Alexa starts screaming and yelling at you, saying, hey, wake up, anybody home, trying to get people's attention. Nothing is working. By then, your watch is actually recording your rhythm, sends a transmission to EMS. EMS looks to your 911 call. They're looking at it, or maybe there's a third-party service that's looking at it, saying this is real, this is a actionable event. Next thing you know, before anything else happens, based on GPS location of where that came from, you have a drone that's flying towards your house, and you have a dispatched EMS. And what's more interesting is how we tie in the community. At the same time, your local community says, just like we have alerts for tornadoes and weather issues, you can get this mass text messaging within that local community saying so-and-so individual potentially is having a cardiac arrest, and your neighbors may be home at that time and they may get that message. And by the time they actually say, yes, we're going to respond to it, the drone lands right in front of their house or close by. And imagine now with all electronic locks, most houses eventually are going to get to this. Maybe you have a partnership where you unlock the door through a code that the EMS sends you actually to walk into the house. And next thing you know, within a span of 2 minutes, you're actually defibrillating this person who actually wakes up and goes to the hospital. So arrhythmia time detection to AED treatment in a community can get as short as 2.5 minutes, and your chance of survival can be as great as 80%. So this is where the future of healthcare, partly because industry is going to partner. It's money involved for industry, which is the only reason why they'll partner, because they have to. And this is mass consumerism. So there's a good chance that this is where the future of healthcare is going to be in terms of these kinds of initiatives. I'll end there because you're going to hear a very good app-based stuff that's already being used actually for sudden cardiac arrest. Thank you.